Okay, let's be real for a second. You get a text from a friend to hang out, and instead of feeling that little spark of excitement, your stomach just falls. You see their name pop up on your phone, and you get that feeling of, oh no, what do I do now? What do I text them? That feeling of dread is a huge red flag. It's like your body is trying to tell you something is wrong before your brain is ready to admit it. And it is a sign that the friendship might be starting to feel more like a chore than a joy. If you've ever felt this way, first of all, you're not a bad person, and you are so not alone. So today, we're going to get into it. Why this happens and what we can actually do about it. Friendships are supposed to be the relationships that fill our cups, not the ones that come with a straw and suck them dry. They should be our soft place to land, the source of our ugliest, loudest laughs, and the people who text us back in the middle of a crisis. But what happens when that shifts? When a coffee date feels more like a mandatory meeting you have to prep for? Or when you hang up the phone and feel more exhausted than when you picked it up? This is so incredibly common, and this has happened to me so much because I am a people pleaser and I attract a lot of different personalities. But nobody talks about it. I think it's because it's layered with so much guilt. We start asking ourselves, am I a bad friend? Am I the problem? Have I changed? Have they changed? And the truth is, usually the answer is way more gentle than that. Relationships just evolve. And sometimes they evolve into something that isn't life-giving anymore. It doesn't mean anyone has to be a villain. It just means something needs to shift. Something needs to change. That's what we're going to do. We'll break down a few reasons why a friendship might start to feel this way, and then we'll talk about what you can do to handle it with grace and protect your own peace. So the first step in dealing with this heavy feeling is just getting curious about where it's coming from. That dread you feel, it's not random. It's your mind and your body waving a little flag, telling you that an important need is not being met. Let's talk about the three big ones. So, reason number one, the friendship has become one-sided. I want you to think about the friendships in your life that feel easy breezy, lemon squeezy. Like I'm talking a walk in the park. You feel like you came out of the womb with them. That's what I want to talk about. There is a natural give and take. You support them, they support you. Sometimes you initiate the plans, sometimes they do. A friendship starts to feel like a chore when that balance gets totally thrown off and you realize you're the only one holding the whole thing up. Maybe you're always the one sending, hey, thinking of you, text, or trying to nail down a time to connect. And then when you finally do get together, the entire conversation is about their life, their drama, their bad day at work. They offload everything onto you. But the second you try to share something you're going through, they suddenly look at their phone or change the subject or give you a quick, "Aw, that sucks," before steering the whole entire conversation right back to them. And look, this isn't about keeping a perfect scorecard. Friendships have seasons. Sometimes one person is going through it and needs a little bit more support. That is totally normal. But when that season turns into the permanent weather forecast, this is the leading cause of resentment starting to build up. You start to feel less like a friend and more like an unpaid therapist or a personal assistant. This constant output of emotional energy without it ever being poured back into you is a huge cause of what psychologists call relationship strain. You walk away just feeling used, feeling unseen, and just empty and so tired because you've been giving from a cup that never, ever gets refilled. And that's not okay. Have you ever hung up the phone with someone and just felt heavy I have. Like you just absorbed all of their stress, but they feel so much better and they tell you that, which almost makes it 1,000 times worse. A friendship can become a serious chore when one person is a constant source of negativity. And again, everyone needs to vent. That's what friends are for. But there's a huge difference between sharing a struggle and living in a permanent state of crisis, complaint, and criticism. This is the friend who is always surrounded by drama. Every story is about someone who wronged them. Every update is a complaint, and they rarely have anything positive to say about their life or yours. I remember I had a friend like this, and when I got a promotion, I was really excited about it. And their response was so lukewarm. Not even lukewarm, it was kind of negative. It was like she couldn't even pretend to be happy for me. It got to the point where I started hiding my good news from her just to avoid that feeling. And this isn't just in your head, first of all. That feeling of being drained is real. Being around constant negativity can be physically exhausting, and it keeps your nervous system on high alert. You find yourself having to emotionally brace for impact before you even see this person. Friendship should be a refuge from all the chaos and stress that the world gives us, not another source of it. So this next one, I think, is the most common and maybe the most painful, because it often feels like no one is at fault. Sometimes a friendship just feels like a chore because you're just fundamentally different people than you were when you first met. Your core values, your priorities, what you care about, it is all shifted. And their stuff has either stayed the same or moved in a totally different direction. Maybe you two used to bond over going out all the time, but now you genuinely prefer a quiet night and with a good book. Or maybe you've gotten really into personal growth and mindfulness, and their main hobby is something that just doesn't resonate with you anymore. The painful part is realizing that in order to connect with them, you have to perform as an old version of yourself. You have to pretend to be interested in things that you're not, or bite your tongue on opinions you no longer hold, just to find some common ground. That feeling of inauthenticity is exhausting. You can't be fully you, which is the whole point of a real friendship. The conversations become kind of surface level, mostly about the good old days, because there's not much connecting you in the here and now. Not anymore. This isn't about judging them, by the way. It's just acknowledging that you're no longer aligned in the ways that matter for a deep friendship. Holding on too tight when your values are at odds feels like trying to fit into clothes that are 3 sizes too small. It's uncomfortable, it's restrictive, you can't breathe, and that's just not you anymore. That's not your style anymore. So, what now? There are 3 things that you can do about this situation. Recognizing the why is half the battle. Seriously, give yourself credit for that. Now comes the part that takes a little bit of courage. Deciding on what to do. So the goal here isn't just to burn it all down, but to be intentional and kind. The whole main point of this channel is to be intentional. But in this aspect, I want you to be intentional and kind, mostly to yourself. So here are 3 things that you can do. So before making any big moves, you need to get really clear on how you actually feel. So a friendship audit sounds so official, but it's really just a private check-in with yourself. For the next couple of weeks, just notice how you feel before, during, and after you interact with this friend or group of friends. Before you see them, what's your gut feeling? Is it excitement or is it that familiar dread? that sense of obligation. During the hangout, do you feel seen and respected? Do you feel like your opinion matters? Or are you just kind of performing and waiting for it all to be over? And then the most important part, after you say goodbye, how do you feel? Do you feel energized and light, like you can take on the world? Or do you feel so drained, so resentful, or kind of a little foggy emotionally? That feeling of anxiety or fogginess after you hang out is basically your nervous system sending up a little flare, signaling that the interaction was stressful. Journaling about this can be a game changer. Seeing the pattern in your own handwriting can give you the clarity you need to finally trust your gut. So, you did the audit and it has confirmed that, this friendship is draining you, and our next step is going to be to set some boundaries. And I know that word can be scary. We think it means a huge, dramatic confrontation. But boundaries aren't about punishing someone. They're about protecting your energy. And they can be so, so gentle. So, for example, if you know that long, unstructured hangouts always turn into 4-hour vent fests for them, you can start suggesting more structured activities. So you can literally just say, I would love to see you, but I only have about an hour for a quick coffee on a Tuesday. Would that work? You're putting a loving time limit on the interaction. Another boundary can be around conversation topics. If your friend always pulls you into gossip or her latest boy talk, you can gently pivot. Try something like, I hear how frustrated you are. To switch gears a little, have you seen any good movies lately? Or if they like music, have you heard any new music lately? And a huge part of this is just managing your own availability. You do not have to answer every call or every text the second it arrives. It is 100% okay to say, I am so overwhelmed right now, can I get back to you tomorrow? Or to just let the message sit until you have the emotional space for it. That's typically what I do. I'm very upfront with my friends. If I don't have the energy for them in that moment, I will just let the message sit. Now, of course, if there is an emergency, I will get back to them, but if I get a huge block of text and I read the first sentence and it's like, oh, this boy, I'm like, and I'm already exhausted, I will just close that and I will get back to it tomorrow. Just let the message sit until you have emotional space for it. The friends who are meant to be in your life will respect your limits and your boundaries that you set. Okay. So after you've checked in with your feelings and tried setting some boundaries, you will have a much clearer picture. Now you have to decide what the future is going to look like. And just remember, you have more options than just all or nothing. Sometimes those gentle boundaries are all it takes to reset the dynamic. Your friend might get the hint and start showing up completely differently, and you might find a new, healthier balance together. That is the ideal scenario. In other cases, the friendship might just need to be redefined. This is what I like to call a friendship demotion. You can lovingly move them from an inner circle friend to a more casual, see you around acquaintance. You don't need a dramatic breakup speech for this. You can just create space by being less available and letting the intensity of the connection just naturally wind down. This is the gradual fade out, and it is totally valid and often a very kind way to handle things. But, and this is a big but, if the friendship is truly one-sided, if it is hurting your mental health, and if your gentle boundaries have been completely ignored and thrown by the wayside, it might be time to let that friendship go. This can be done with kindness. You do not need to list all of their faults. You can say something from your heart, like, I've realized I need to focus my energy differently right now, and I don't think I can show up for our friendship in the same way anymore. I am so, so grateful for the good times we had, and I truly wish you the best. It is so painful to say goodbye, but sometimes it is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Realizing a friendship has become a chore is a really hard and honestly heartbreaking experience because, you may not be dating that person, but a relationship is a relationship, and you give them a little piece of your heart and they give their little piece of heart to you. And it can be painful, but that feeling of dread is a gift. It is a signal from you to you that you need to pay attention to your own needs. Whether the issue is one-sidedness, negativity, or just growing apart, you have the power to change the dynamic. By auditing your feelings, setting gentle boundaries, and making a conscious choice about the relationship's future, you can reclaim your energy and make sure that the people in your life are truly adding to it. It is okay to outgrow people. It is okay to prioritize your peace. And it is absolutely okay to let go of relationships that no longer feel like home. True friendship should feel like a support system, not a second job. I know this is such a complicated and kind of tender topic, and I feel like so many of us have gone through this. I would love to hear your experiences in the comments. Have you ever had a friendship start to feel like a chore? And how did you handle it? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to feel a little less lonely today. And if this video resonated with you, please subscribe for more real conversations about building healthier, more life-giving relationships. I love talking with you, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please have a wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever time it is there for you. And I love you. Bye!